In the course of our small group meetings, we had one of our members who had a very tragic accident happen to a friend of his.
I'm a skydiver, and during the course of this year's Bible study, I did lose two friends skydiving, as well as my grandmother.
One of his friends jumped from an airplane, and she pulled the ripcord, and the parachute didn't open. And as she was trained to do, she then went to the auxiliary ripcord and pulled it, and that chute did not open either. All of that made us question, should we evaluate life at a deeper level? If our belief system is like a parachute and we're jumping out of life and we're counting on our belief system to bear us up, wouldn't it be nice to have somebody who would ask genuine questions so that we could ensure that our belief system was worthwhile and would stand up under the test of real life? Across the ages, people have experienced the joy and the necessity of evaluating life. Socrates said that the unexamined life was not worth living. People do job evaluations all the time in order to correct weaknesses before they become bigger problems and perhaps may even result in the termination of an employee. There are people all across life whose evaluation is simply part of what they do.
I've been a coach this is going to be my 40th year. That's 40. And evaluation is just something we were brought up with. You know, football coaches are always grading film and evaluating, and then go out the first thing Monday after our weekend games and correcting. This is how we make great progress during the season. We always have non-district games to really get our, quote, our game together, and then we improve. We look at the video with the players and make corrections. Say, Johnny, how could you correct this? How could you have done this better? Remember in practice when we emphasize this? And this is how we just, you know, with the proper positive attitude, we really make great strides in improving as a team.
I am an aerospace engineer, and my job entails making sure that all the liquids that go on an airplane, whether it's water, gas, oils, flow through freely and work properly during flight. If the material was not evaluated before it's built, it could cause a breakdown. The liquid going through could actually deteriorate and cause a leak during flight, and also it might not handle all the vibration. You should be thankful that someone like me is evaluating all the material so that you arrive safely at your destination.
I'm an oncology nurse, and in my profession, working with cancer patients, I see the incredible need for evaluation almost every day. I think a unique perspective in the importance of screening and preventative medicine as far as health maintenance. If people choose not to seek early prevention and treatment, they can oftentimes get into trouble with disease progression and have limited options to their medical treatments.
We love these kids, and we don't want them to fail when we are through coaching them and they can't bring us victories anymore. We want to evaluate them 3 years after they've left our program, after they've graduated.
Should we evaluate the things that we hold very dear to us, things that will guide us and things that will bear us in times of need? And should we help other people evaluate their belief systems? I'm certainly glad that someone evaluated my belief system. When I was younger, I had this feeling that God was in control of absolutely everything. As a matter of fact, I lived in a very simple world. If God controlled everything, then I really only had two choices. I could either trust Him or I could not trust Him. Even to the point that if there was a plane that crashed, I believed that God had a beginning and an ending for every person's life, and instead of zapping the 120 people that died on the airplane individually in various parts of the world, He just gathered them together all in one spot, and boom, He got them all at one time, and it was just an easier thing for God to do. My belief system began to get a little bit complicated when I realized that we have freedom as human beings. God does not cause me to sin. That's my choice. And all of a sudden, my belief system became more complicated, but it also became closer to reality. If God doesn't make me sin, then He's not in control of everything, and we have to take into account human freedom and the choices that we make as to why life turns out the way that it does. The most often quoted verse of Scripture today is, "Judge not, lest you be judged." We have this idea that we should never question another person's belief system. That system is too personal. It's something that may be right for them and it may not be right for us. And so who are we to ask the questions? But the fact of it is that we need to do evaluation of the most important things in our life. I found that most people are turned off by those who try to push their belief system down someone else's throat. Perhaps it was somebody that was arrogant or egotistical, or maybe even they were hypocritical. They didn't live up to their own belief system, but they wanted you to live up to it. But I do believe that it's okay to evaluate our life and test it to see if what we believe is real. Judgment has the idea of tearing down. It has the idea of being argumentative. It has the idea of belittling another person, or maybe even coercing or forcing them into something that they don't want to do. But that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is evaluation. Evaluation can mean testing. It can mean examining. It can mean taking a look at something to make sure that whenever we jump from an airplane that our parachute will really open. It's something that is designed to encourage. It is designed to give confidence to, and maybe even allow for adjustments and changes along the way. Going back to that most popular quoted verse of Scripture today, these were the words of Jesus whenever he talked about judging. He said, "Do not judge, or you too will be judged. For in the same way you judge others, you will be judged. And with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, 'Let me take that speck out of your eye,' when all the time there is a plank in your own eye? You hypocrite, first take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye." The implication is that we will indeed be involved in an evaluation process with one another. It's not the fact that we should never question and that we should never help. It's just the fact that it should be done in a safe place. It should be done in an encouraging way, and it should be done in a way that is searching for genuine truth. And the whole point is that we're strengthening each other. We are encouraging each other, and we are building one another up. Jesus even said that we are to examine the fruit of another person's life to see if what they're saying is real. So whether we like it or not, evaluation really is a part of our life and our relationships with other people. When we started talking about evaluating our belief system, there were some people who were a little bit nervous about that. First of all, they weren't sure if they knew enough to help another person evaluate their system, and they also weren't sure that they knew what their own system of belief was. And we tried to create a safe environment so that we could do that very thing, but do it in a healthy way. It's okay not to know all the answers, but it's important for us to help one another and to have those discussions and give each other permission in our life to test the things that we believe, and then to listen to what another person says so that it begins to make sense of what this life is all about. That's what relationships are all about. The most important people in your life and in my life will help to test us and make us stronger. That's the relationships that God has for us, making us stronger and also making us stronger in our relationship with Him.